The name of the class today is Cursed Then and Now. Judah. Cursed then and now, Judah. So yeah, that's the name of the class. Lord's will. It's edifying. It's not gonna be long. Just want to go over a few things dealing with Judah. We're gonna be going in some books, just getting some history on what we had to deal with in our transit here on this side, in between, however you want to say it, and some stuff that we deal with now. So we're gonna get started then. So again, the title is Cursed Then and Now, Judah. We're gonna start at Romans real quick. Romans 15:4. Romans 15:4. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead. What you got?
This is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. So these things that was written in the Bible was written for our learning, right? And it says it's written for our what? What else? Through our patience.
Through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right. Us having patience and comfort of the scriptures, we might have hope. You know, of course, a lot of this stuff came to pass that we read about in the Bible, and a lot of stuff haven't came to pass that's actually in the midst of happening as we speak. So that being said, it's written for our learning. It's written for us. Once we read these things, being patient, you know, we can have hope, you know, of comfort of the scriptures that certain things will be fulfilled, like you're not going to die no more. You know, when Christ returned, we all redeemed and we're into heaven. We ain't going to have pain. We ain't got to worry about crying. All the slavery that we've been through in the past, we ain't got to deal with it no more. That's the hope. I mean, I hope to see that day. So if that being said, that's what the scripture's saying. These things are written so we can go through it with patience, and knowing once we overcome these things, that hope is that we're going to endure in the kingdom of heaven. We're going to live forever. We're going to reign. All right? Let's go to Genesis. So I said Judah. Let's see. Let's get a little background on Judah real quick. Genesis chapter 29. Let's start at 29. Genesis chapter 29. And you can start at verse 31.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 29 and verse 31. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb.
Right, so let me give a little information on this. So basically, we're reading about our forefather Jacob, right? And he goes to stay with his father-in-law, as we get into this, Laban. And basically, he pretty much trapped him into staying there so many years to be a servant, to be married to one sister, but he ended up getting married to the other one first. So what we read now is the first sister that he got married to, which is the one he really didn't desire, how she conceived kids, right? So we're going to read the kids she conceived. Read.
But Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son.
I'm sorry, start over real quick. Start over.
The book of Genesis, chapter 29 and verse 31. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Right,
so Jacob loved Rachel, right? And Leah, the Lord saw that she was hated. He really didn't desire her. She didn't look good. She didn't even look good. But he wasn't interested in her. He was out for Rachel. But the Lord said, I saw that you don't love her. You hate her. So what he did, he closed the womb of Rachel and he opened Leah's. And read.
And Leah conceived and bare a son. And she called his name Reuben.
She called the first son named Reuben. Come on.
For she said, surely the Lord have looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me.
Right. So we read on. She's saying, hey, surely the Lord looked up on my affliction. Now my husband's going to. Basically, she's assuming that her husband going to love her now since she bring forth her first child for him, right? That wasn't the case. Keep reading.
And she conceived again and bare a son and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he have therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon.
Right. So again, she had another son. His name was Simeon. So right now we got Reuben, Simeon. Come on.
Verse 33. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. Verse 34. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons.
So she got 3 kids now. What's his name? Keep going.
Therefore was his name called Levi.
His name was Levi. So now we see 3. We got the elder brothers of this next brother right here. Read what you got.
Verse 35. And she conceived again and bare a son. And she said, Now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing.
Right. So Judah was his name. So that's the 4th child of Leah. Right. So we're going to go into Judah a little bit. History on Judah. What's happening, right? All right, let's jump to chapter 49. Genesis chapter 49. We can start at verse 8.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, and verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah.
Right, so it says Judah. Read it again from the top.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
It says, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Just listen to that key point, because it's going to say the same thing on down in this same verse. But thy brother, meaning what? The other brothers, the other tribes, which would be Reuben, Simeon, Levi. You got Joseph's kids, which was who you got? Ephraim, Manasseh. You got Naphtali, you got Gad, you got all these other tribes, right? The other 11 tribes out there, right? But this one right here says they're going to be the ones that's going to be praised. Judah, right? Keep going.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
So it says thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. What is that saying? Meaning we was going to be able to go through this and pull out the truth of them. We was going to choke the lies from them. We was going to be able to choke the lies from our enemies. And we see it today. We're going to read on. We're going to keep going into it of history of what we've done to reveal that Judah is this. We are Judah, I should say. The blacks, so-called black African Americans today. But continue.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
So it just said thy brothers shall praise them, right? That's what it was referencing. Hey, the other tribes was going to bow down to who? To Judah. Why? Why was that the case? Let's go to Zechariah real quick. Chapter 12. Why was that the case? There was a reason for that. Because of this verse right here. Watch this. Verse 7, I'm sorry.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 12 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
See what?
He shall save the tents of Judah first.
So the Bible says the Lord was going to save the tents of Judah first. So what we read in Genesis is prophecies about Judah, about how they were going to be in these last days. How were we going to rise up in these last days, right? So it says what?
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
Right, the Lord shall save the tents of Judah first. Finish that out.
That the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
They weren't going to be able to magnify themselves against Judah because they were chosen first, right? Let's go back to Genesis real quick. So what we're doing is just giving a little background on Judah. Who is Judah, right? And well, keep going. I don't want to change that yet. Go ahead.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 9.
Uh-huh.
Judah is a lion's whelp.
Now, I'm sorry. Read verse 8 again. Yes, sir.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Right, choking all the lies that they put up on our people. We choking it out of them. Come on.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Right, the other nations was going to come. I say other nations, mean the other tribes were going to praise Judah, right? Because they were chosen first, right? Come on.
Verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp.
Judah is a lion's whelp. Meaning what? We fierce. We the fierce tribe. You see us out there bold. You don't see the other tribes out there like that. A lot of them hiding out. A lot of them really not noticed. But Judah, we out and about. We fierce. Black, look, black and I'm proud. We strong with it. That's Judah for you. Come on.
From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
So what is that? Who is that prey that they going up to? What is that talking about? It's talking about us smiting the nations. That's what it's talking about. Watch this. Let's go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 76. Right? Now, look. You can get all this information from, what you call it, the 12 tribes breakdown. Right? The bishops went over it perfectly. Right? But I just want to paint the picture so we can get into the history. I want to go into the history, but you got to know who is Judah. You got to know who is this tribe talking about. Who are these people? Who is this specific tribe right here? So we got to break it down. Let's go. Read that for me, please.
The book of Psalms, chapter 76 and verse 1.
Come on.
In Judah is God known. His name is great in Israel.
Right. Judah is great in Israel, whom God, he said his name. I'm sorry. Read it again if I mess up. Go ahead.
The book of Psalms, chapter 76 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
In Judah is God known. His name
Judah is God known. In Judah. Come on.
His name is great in Israel.
Uh-huh.
In Salem also is his tabernacle
Uh-huh.
and his dwelling place in Zion.
Read.
There break he the arrows of the bow, the shield, and
where
the...
you reading that?
76.
76 in verse...
1-3.
Oh, read verse 4. Oh, you started at 1?
Mm-hmm.
My bad. Start at 4.
Verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Thou art more glorious and excellent than the mountains of prey.
It says we are more glorious and excellent than the mountains of the prey. Who is that talking about? The mountains is talking about the nations. Those nations, we're better than them. Right? They are our prey. We were supposed to be smiting them. We're going to smite them at the end of the day. And who going to lead the charge? Judah. Who is that? Christ we talking about. All right, is that it?
Yes, sir. Let's read verse 5.
Nah, that's all I want on that. Let's go back. That's all I want. Right? So them nations that we're going to smite, they're going to be our prey. That mountain is talking about the other nations. Right? Come on.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up.
Uh-huh.
He stooped down.
He said he stooped down. What is that going into? That's going into us in the civil rights movement. We stooped down, right? Dealing with the civil rights. You know, we've been through a lot in that. That's Judah. That's how you know that's beginning of us coming back to who we were, to who we are, I should say. Right? Come on.
He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Right. So he says, as an old lion. What is that saying? That old lion was when we fell into the drugs. You see the stages we went through, the 60s we went through this, we rising up, this and that. We stooped down, but guess what? Then drugs came in there. Then the drugs came, then the gang, all of that stuff came in the midst. That old lion, that's what made us old. Feminist movement came into existence right afterwards. If this ain't Judah, who is it? If this ain't the black American today, who is that? Who is that talking about? But come on.
Verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah.
Right. That what it say? That rulership won't. That king won't depart from Judah. I don't want to jump ahead. Let's jump off of this. So we prove it to you, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 33. We're going to be in Deuteronomy because when we read these curses, it affects all Israel. But you can read specific ones, really dive into a lot of these curses, and you can see Israel as far as the blacks here on this side, who they are today. You can prove it. You can really see them out of the curses. All right, so read that, 33 and verse 7, please.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him.
Right, so it said, hear the voice of Judah, right? Because we were going to be the ones that rise first, and we were going to be the ones that's teaching, right? And you see that today. It has manifested on earth today, right? Matter of fact, Bishop Nathaniel is from what tribe?
Judah.
Judah. We see it. Right? Watch this.
And be thou an help to him from his enemies.
And be what?
And be thou an help to him from his enemies.
Right. It says we'll be our help from them from his enemies, right? So we talking about Judah here. We going through what do you call it? All the stuff that we've been, you can just see the track record of us dealing with the civil rights. It was something that was stirred in us for us to be the ones to rise first. And it's the Most High had a beautiful plan. The way this is set up, it's only set up for us to win, right? That's because we was cursed then. We've been through all these curses, and now there's still something better, and we got to see that. But he wanted to deal with Judah first. That's why we read through this, and we can see it, right? Watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 27. Let's dive into it now. So we showing who Judah is, right? We got to prove it. We're gonna go through these. We got books here today. We're gonna read through some of these books, and you're gonna get a glimpse of what we went through, right? And some of this stuff we still going through today. All right, let's go. Deuteronomy 27 and start at verse 26.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27 and verse 26.
Right.
Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them.
Wait, so it says, hold on, I lost my place. Give me 1 second. It says, cursed be he that confirmeth not, right? So when you read up in this, it's going into some curses. Like, you read on, afterwards at 28, it goes into curses, but it's other curses in here. It's talking about curse be he that remove his neighbor's landmark, all these little curses, right? But this is the point I want us to hit. Read it again.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27 and verse 26. Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them. And all the people shall say, Amen.
And all the people said what?
And all the people shall say, Amen.
Right, so they agreed that they were going to be cursed if they didn't apply what was written. Didn't apply the commandments of God. They agreed to this. Everybody said amen. They agreed. But he still had to go on. He said, all right, okay, you agree, okay. Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. Watch this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right, he said that all these curses will come upon us if we didn't obey the commandments, right? If we didn't keep the statutes that was written, we will be cursed. We will be a cursed people. All right, let's go to Baruch real quick. Let's see what that let's see what it's talking about when it say curse, because we say curse, people might think I'm saying if I say ass, that's what we talking about. Or if I say something like the F-bomb, if I drop the F-bomb, I done curse. No, we're talking about the curses of this Bible. These curses that will come upon us for being disobedient. 1 in verse 19, please.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 1 and verse 19.
Come on.
Since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt, unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice. Verse 20, wherefore the evils cleaved unto us.
It say what?
The evils cleaved unto us.
Because we didn't listen to God, those curses, those evil things was gonna what?
Cleave unto us.
Cleave unto us. Finish that out, please.
And the curse which the Lord appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt.
Right, it's talking about Deuteronomy 28. That's what we're talking about. Those evil things, those curses were going to cleave to us if we were disobedient to God's laws, right? So we're going to read some curses. We're going to prove, we're going to show you the facts, right? Watch this. Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28. Actually, go to Daniel real quick. Daniel chapter 9.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 11.
Yeah, bring it.
Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us.
Because of, now, therefore what?
The curse is poured upon us.
The curse is poured upon us because of what? We were disobedient to God's laws. That's why you see the curses on us today, and it poured upon us. Meaning what? There was a good amount of it. You could, if you pouring something on something, it ain't like a little bit. Right. These and we see this. The proof that it poured on us, we see it today. A lot of stuff we deal with today. mental issues, uh, can't feed your kids. This stuff's still happening. It's happened before and it's happening now. Watch this. Keep going.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God.
Now, there you go. We're going back to the law of Moses. What Moses stated. Hey, these oaths that was written, we didn't keep them. Come on.
Because we have sinned against him. And he have confirmed his words which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil.
A great evil, which are these curses that poured upon us. Come on.
For under the whole heaven have not been done, as have been done upon Jerusalem.
And none of this happened to nobody else has it done to Israel, to Jerusalem. Right? And we're going to read some things pertaining to Judah. Right? So we still in it. These curses have plagued us then and is still doing it now. Watch this. I think it's more on that. Keep going.
Verse 13. As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil is come upon us. Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. Therefore hath the Lord watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For the Lord our God is...
So who did this?
The Lord.
The Lord brought it upon us because we were disobedient to him. We said we are the sons of God. We are the children. He's our father. That's what we said. We said we was going to obey his commandments. But what happened? He brought these curses on because we were disobedient. We broke his laws. Come on.
For the Lord our God is righteous in all his works.
And he's righteous in all his works. Come on.
Which he doeth. For we obeyed not his voice.
He's righteous for all his works which he do because we obeyed not his voice. So what comes upon us is in righteousness because we were once disobedient. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, and let's read verse 16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
It says, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Now, we read this, right? And we know that these were the things, right? That I would say what we deal with today. In now time, what we do, we see crackheads in the street in these cities, right? We see them. We can go on like we can name 5 streets right now off the top of our head where crackheads, whores, sodomites walk in the same street. Right now, we can name this because we are cursed in the city. Hey, pull up a couple images I got, just a couple. I ain't got too many images for y'all today, but I got some books that we gonna read out of. But just pull up this. These are some cities around the United States right now. Hopefully they can see that. I don't know if you can share it or not. You see that? This is some of our cities. Some of the cities that's near the capital of the USA. Some of these cities like that. This is scattered around. Come on. I think it's like 2 more. Look at this. What does that say? Neighbor. What does that say? Read that for me.
It says, neighbors frustrated by trash pile. City vowing to up trash cleanup across Baltimore.
And we know Baltimore is what? One of the worst places in the United States. Probably the worst. It's so trashed out there. And you got crackheads everywhere. Man, when we went to Philly, what were we seeing? Oh, you didn't get to go. Dang. When we went to Philly, man, you had people slumped over.
Right.
Slumped, hanging over. Some of them was shooting drugs right in front of us. We seen crap on the walls. I don't know how it got up that far. Crap. This is us being cursed in the city today. We see this stuff. All right, keep going. That's all I want on that. You ain't got to even pull up anymore. But we see that's trash. That's just one little spot, but the whole city was like that. Driving through, you can see the good. Driving through it on the highway, you seen the worst. You knew what side was bad because you didn't see nothing but trash, and it was like what do you call it? Walking Dead, like it was just vacant. It wasn't nothing there. But yeah, that's where the Negroes hiding at right there. That's where the Negro. You go to the little corner store. You'll see them. This is us. Keep going, please.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 16.
Come on.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
And curse were we in the field. Now I forgot to pull up a. Just type in field for me real quick. Let's see. I want to show y'all something. Do two things for me. Type in cotton field and sugarcane field, and then type in football field. Let's see some images real quick. Put slave on the front of that, because we gotta see these things, and we know this is talking about it. Yes, Judah is consisted of 3 tribes majorly, right? You think of Levi and Benjamin as well. Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, right? Or Benjamin and Levi. But we're talking about the black Americans today. We're talking about Judah specifically, right? So we're going to see what Judah went through. Pull that first image up on there. Check. Bring it over. We see this. This is evident. This is real history. Because you probably still got, your grandma probably picked this. She was probably getting paid at the time. She was probably picking some cotton. But believe it, her grandmother was a real slave. She was a real slave. You see the images here? That's then. And some of this is still now. In 2011, I believe, they just abolished slavery out of Mississippi. You mean to tell me that was still on the ballots? That was still there? If that's not talking about us, Israel, who is it? You got the other one? Pull the other one up. So we saying curse in the city, right? We see the trash in our neighborhoods. That's just a simple part. But we talking about the drugs in our community, the whores that's in our community. There's people walking around buying sex anytime. This is the wicked place that we living in today. This is wicked times. But guess what? We were the ones that broke God's commandments, right? So Judah got to go through certain things, especially the ones how we gonna choke out all the lies on these enemies, especially the white man today, if we didn't go through these things to be risen up first. All right, but watch this. We got to reveal these things, and that's what you see us doing today. Put the Negro on the football field. We ain't got to pull that up. We see sugarcane. We know some of our brothers in the islands was doing it, right? Some of us today still doing it.
What club was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize they.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
But the Zulu Nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again.
And that's high school. We go way back to Little League. When you 5 years, 6 years old, you run around on the field. You don't even know how to tackle yet. Some of you don't even know what you running in circles. Flag football, all of that. That's leading you right up to this right here when you get into the NFL.
Right.
Where you think you're a superstar, but you're a super slave. We don't see that today, though.
Hell is this?
But that's the black in America. That's Judah. Right? This may apply to other other tribes as well, but specifically Judah got hit hard. Got really hit, right? Come on.
Verse 17.
Yes, sir, please.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land.
So it says, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, right? Right. So think about this. The fruit of our body. What is that going into? It's going into our seed. The fruit of thy body.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters.
Verse 30.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
Right. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. When did that happen? That happened in slavery. You read accounts, you hear accounts, of your older, we still got people that's 100 years old living. They tell accounts about their family. We know this is facts. Because how you know it's fact? Because some of you mixed. Some of you really got white grandmothers and grandfathers. Grandfathers. We see that. All right, let's go in this book, The Black Holocaust. And we're going to, think that was on. Yeah, let's read the negotiation first. That's why that is the book. To verse 16. This goes to verse 16. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 16. Watch this.
This is out of the Black Holocaust for Beginners, page 66.
Uh-huh.
On negotiating the selling of African captives. Negotiations were often protracted.
When we got in these cities, right? Back then, these was the little cities you getting off in what's the city? Charleston, Georgetown. These cities right here. Guess what? They were negotiating with us. We were the hottest commodity on Wall Street, and we still are. It's just called Atlanta now. It's just called the rap industry. It's just called the football, the American Football League, or the entertainment. But read this.
Prices and exchanges fluctuated greatly. Traders, Africans, clients, local chiefs, and their retinues all had to be satisfied. Nor was it simply a matter of agreeing on a price. Slave trading on the coast developed its own conventions, rituals, and etiquette, all of which had to be observed. Gifts were offered and accepted, drinks and smokes exchanged, food cooked and consumed together. Sometimes violence and bloodshed terminated proceedings. Generally, however, at the point of contact between black and white, the slave trade was a well-established routine with its own protracted code of conduct, which provided the essential lubricant for a potentially abrasive commerce.
And that's what we see. That's some real facts right there of what the negotiations were like. And you mentioned it said how they went about doing it. You can imagine what kind of fights it wasn't normal fights. Like we fight about this. They fighting about money here, right? And who can get the best slave? Oh, you trying to get this Mandingo from me? No. We're gonna have to fight. But they still had a code of conduct. At the end of the day, they were still with each other and against us.
Right.
These are negotiations from us in the cities. Us coming in off those slave ships. Right? Let's jump. Let's read Deuteronomy first, and we're going to jump to the woman. Because, we got our black sisters don't think that they think they good now. What we've been talking about lately? They out thotting on TikTok twerking. You
Tinkling.
TikTok twerker.
Right.
Doing all kind of stuff and stanking.
Yeah, your pH balance is off.
Look, in this book, you was stanking in this book, but you was in a whole different condition. And our people still curse now. Where the curse at? The curse in your head now. It's still physical, but it's mentally too, because you look how you can have hot water, you can run soap through your body. You ain't on those ships stuck thousands of miles away from your land and traveling over here to be a slave. You able to do all these things and you still stink. You still killing your babies, or your babies dying. This is crazy. But read what you got, please.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30. That's what you want, right?
Yes, sir, please.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. These are the conditions we see. Read what you got, please.
This is back to the Black Holocaust for Beginners. Page 68. For the African American, for the African woman, there was no privacy.
There were what?
There was no privacy.
There was no privacy for you black women. This is how you know it's so relevant. This is back then. There was no privacy for you women. But guess what? They don't care about it now. They ain't They ain't shameful for that. Well, guess what? Because
Now
They
showing
on
it all.
they showing it everywhere. They whopping everywhere. Wop. That's what they doing out in the world today. We see that. You don't even care about your privacy now. But back then you were forced to have no privacy. But keep going, please.
At any time of the day or night, the captain or businessman or commander could sit and select the woman or women or girls he would choose to rape.
He would what?
He would choose to rape.
He would what?
He would choose to rape.
He would choose to rape. Choose to rape. And many of them, I think it's in there when we read on, were already married. But they was kids too. Yes, your daughter, who you really put on the TikTok today. This is how you know we curse today still. You put them on TikTok and they twerking. But back then, they was a rape victim. Some of them still getting raped now because of what you are allowing to happen. But we just so rebellious. We just can't keep the laws so we can get out of these conditions. Come on, Israel. Read, please.
If you refused, you were whipped and then raped.
You were what?
You were whipped and then raped.
And then raped. So you was going to get raped either way. Right?
Right.
Oh, look, this is crazy. They made it worse. Come on.
And if you were really resistant, there would be a gang rape, often leading to death.
You can't make this up. This is the conditions we were living in. Come on.
Often leading to death or insanity. In addition, the rape and sexual abuse of African men and boys would also...
You know what's so interesting about when it's just said in insanity, right? They got raped and all those things that may have happened that led up to that rape because you might have resisted, right? Most of them probably did resist. Well, unless they was seeing all the other ones get it, and they was like, I might as well just because something's going to happen.
It's going to get worse and
But
worse.
read that one part again right before that.
If you were really resistant, there would be a gang rape, often leading to death or insanity.
Death or insanity. Guess what? Our people insane right now.
Right.
They ain't being raped. They insane because nobody didn't give them views on that video they put. But I showed my butt cheeks to everybody.
Oh, look.
Or somebody said something about you and you going crazy. You worried about your image then when you didn't have an image. You wasn't even a person they were considering. You was a vessel for them to rape. But we so gone right now. You are cursed right now. Come on, please.
In addition, the rape and sexual abuse of African men and boys would also be a frequent occurrence. You can be sure that over the tens of thousands of days and nights of the slave trade, no demented sexual fantasy was left untried upon the bodies and souls of the African captive.
That's unheard of. You seen the conditions that, yes, you sisters, you blacks, yes, it's happened to, Benjamin and Levi and other tribes as well. But we talking about Judah today, and we love these white people like they just gods. Like that they're God, I should say. They ain't no God. You say what?
They left no stone unturned when it came to demented sexual fantasy.
Meaning, you know what that means?
You know what that means? Everything to us.
Exactly. You know what that means? That means when they were dead, they were still having sex with them.
Yeah, everything.
This is crazy. We seeing this. That was back then. But what is the state of our people now? We are so destroyed now. They ain't literally got to whip you on your back no more.
Right.
All they got to do is take some of your views off your TikTok, what is that? Fans only OnlyFans page or whatever it may be. Snapchat, is Snapchat still a thing? Or whatever. All these little avenues that you can get views on, they can take some of that from you and you go crazy.
You'll get nastier.
You'll get nasty, right? This is ridiculous. But we see the conditions we lived in back then. All right, read on, please.
Page 69.
Yes, sir.
Facing a strange and hostile environment in North America, African females undoubtedly experienced great emotional and physical distress.
Why? Because they were being raped. And then they had to go work hard bondage. Come on.
Yet, their anguish and alienation did not begin on the coast of the New World for several weeks and sometimes months before they ever reached North America.
Before they ever reached, meaning when they were traveling on these oceans, read.
African girls and women suffered incredibly at the hands of the slave traders.
They suffer incredibly. That's what we were just reading about. A lot of stuff was happening to them. Come on.
European and African who captured or bought them. Torn from the very fabric of their lives, these women, many of whom were already married and had children of their own, were forced to leave.
Many were already married. You shall betroth the wife, but what?
Another man shall lie.
And another man shall lie with them. Many of them was already married and had what?
And had children of their own.
And had children of their own, but what?
Were forced to leave their families, their culture, and their ethnically prescribed identities behind. They were sold along with the original with the other regional treasures, for which different areas of the West African coastline were named gold, ivory, and grain.
That it on it? I think it's one more another part. I think it says something about the babies dying. Right here. I think this is it. This passage right here. Watch this. So we see that, right? So when we read verse 18, Deuteronomy 18, it says, "Curse shall be the fruit of thy body." Watch this.
This is page 70. We must constantly keep in mind the fact that the unrelieved daily misery of the Africans held captive in Africa became a central part of the human landscape, the language, the culture of Africa. Imagine, for example, the psychological impact on the people of Africa of thousands of African women and girls aborting.
A what?
Aborting.
A what?
Aborting.
Aborting. Then it happened because of the conditions we lived in through the slavery, right? That's what happened then. But now we just really popping babies out like crazy. And I ain't talking about popping, giving birth, and having them and raising them the right way. I'm talking about popping them out and keep popping them in and popping them out. Meaning you killing them. You sacrificing them willingly. This is crazy. But come on.
And possibly dying in the process, day in and day out along the way.
Then they were dying day in and day out along the way. Come on.
To and within these dungeons, imagine giving birth to healthy or sickly newborns only to see them die of malnutrition.
Of what?
Malnutrition or dysentery, or killed by a crazed mother or slave driver.
Right, a crazed mother. Why that mother is crazed? Because the conditions she was in. She went through all these the tormenting that they put on her, from beating her, from raping her, from doing all kind of nasty things to her. And we talking about the white man that was doing this, right? All these things happened to them. They became crazed. So they was like, well, I ain't let my daughter live through that. My child ain't going through this. And some of them were dying. Some of them were being put to death. And we see that. But we don't want to raise our kids now. We don't care for our people now. It says, "Curse shall be the fruit of thy body." And we see that. All right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 32.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
Right, so we reading about a little bit of that just now with the sisters. They didn't have no might to take them out, right? To save them, I should say. These are conditions we see. Just like when we came here with the slave ships, and they were sold somewhere else, we couldn't stop them. We couldn't stop these other people from doing that, right? It happened, and we were longing for them all the day long. We wanted our kids back, but we didn't have no might. We didn't have no economic or military. What military do you have when you got these damn Hamites, traitors, pushing you from one side, selling you to Arabs and these white people, and you ain't got no might to defend yourself now? Right. You thinking you cool with somebody that look like you, but they the damn devil. I want to hear something real quick. Go to Hebrews, because we was reading about this. I just got to bring this out, right? We reading about this. Listen to the man that you call your Jesus, the white man. Listen to this so-called white man, which is Caesar Borgia. That's who you say that's your God. the Joe Biden, who can't remember anything. Watch what the Bible says about these group of people.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 16.
Yeah.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau.
As who?
As Esau.
Yes, that's your friendly neighborhood white man who's not so friendly according to what we just read. According to the history that we know, that's facts. According to God, they are wicked. They are the border of wickedness. Read.
Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
Uh-huh.
For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears.
Right. He had no place of repentance. Read that top part again, though.
Verse 17. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance. You want 16?
No, 16. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Verse 16.
Yeah.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person.
Or what?
Or profane person.
This person is profane. This fornicating person right here. Read.
As Esau.
As Esau. That's why we can read that they done anything to our women. Anything they wanted to do, they was doing it. That wicked person right there. That wicked nation, I should say. And that's the one that you call, hey, Becky's my best friend. Hey, Brittany, how you doing? No, Bob ain't your best friend. Tucker ain't your best friend. Billy, Walter, all these, they ain't your friends. They your enemies. Those are the ones that put you on these ships and sent you on the other side of everywhere. All right, let's go back to Deuteronomy 28, please. But they ain't friend.
Right.
This is crazy. That's how you know we curse. And it's here. Our minds are destroyed. Please read.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32.
No, I'm sorry. Go to verse 68.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
Right. He said he was going to bring us into Egypt again, which means what? Let's get that for new people that may not know. We're going to prove what Egypt is. Because it says the title is called Cursed Then and Now, right? Back then we were cursed and now. And if y'all, the ones that caught Officer Manuel's study call last night, you know, when we read Deuteronomy 28, verse 16, curse in the city, that happened back then. Remember, we were seized in Jerusalem, right? The history he brought out was perfect because it lines up. It shows that our city, Jerusalem, we was cursed there in our own city. We had to, what did it say right here, the bottom part? Read that.
It says, imagine giving birth to healthy or sickly newborns only to see them die of malnutrition.
Of what?
Of malnutrition.
That happened back then. We didn't have food. And how did they see them die? Putting them in their mouth, eating them. If you don't think this Bible is real, you crazy. You crazy. We were cursed back then and now. Watch this. Keep going.
The book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Out of the house of bondage. So the land of Egypt, or Egypt, means bondage. And another word for that is slavery. Right? So read that, Deuteronomy.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Right. He said he was going to bring us into Egypt again with ships. With ships. Watch this. Keep going. Finish it out.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
It said for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That's what we see. No man was going to be able to redeem us, right? No man. We was going to be sold for that. Go to Joel real quick, chapter 3. Joel chapter 3 and read. Yeah.
The book of Joel chapter 3 and verse 3.
You pulled that pretty quick, man. Let me get there real quick. Speedy Gonzalez over here. All right, go ahead.
The book of Joel chapter 3 and verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine.
So when it says sold to your enemies back in Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, that's what it's talking about. It says, read that again.
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink.
It said cast lots, meaning what? Bid, meaning they were selling us, right? Nigga talk to him, Master Jenkins. You want this man out about 105,000 for him, whatever they were selling the prices back then for, right? They were selling it to. They were bidding on. They was casting lots. Come on, read that part again. Casting lots and what?
And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot.
A what?
A boy for a harlot.
They gave a boy for a harlot, meaning what? Them boys were breeders.
Right.
They were made into harlots. They were made to, hey, this boy right here, what is he? Oh, he's 17. He's 16, but he's 6'6".
Right. Ready to buck.
6'6", 200 pounds. He LeBron James. And they sold him for harlots. That's real. That's us, right? Come on.
And sold.
Guess what? You know what's crazy about it? That's why that's back then, right? But what are they doing now? What are they doing now? They I don't know if y'all look. I know this is off. This is a little weird, but they got a thing running around now where the dude was running in the NFL combine thing. Dude got his junk showing basically. Now it's a meme everywhere. But that's what they were doing. Back then they was having this man, the biggest dude was standing there being the harlot. Now they got the biggest dude running around on the football field, running a 4 flat.
Right.
Look, they still casting lots on you Negroes today. Right. Best to believe it. But come on.
And sold a girl for wine.
And what?
And sold a girl for wine.
Yes, they were selling girls for wine. That's in this I know I had this, man. Keep going.
That they might drink.
That they might drink. We read about that. They sold us for spices and all kind of stuff and wine. Mm-hmm. They was okay, here, you can have her. Just give me 30 barrels of Junebug juice. Or whatever the case it might, whatever it was. And you was getting it. Keep going, please.
Verse 4. Yea. And what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
That's what I mentioned earlier with these ugly, dumb Africans. What's the term? You African booty scratchers.
African booty scratchers.
Right. They gonna die. They bums. You elephant dookie eating elephant, you know. They treacherous, man. Those wicked people came against us.
Right.
And they what?
Yea, and what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
Them Africans, come on.
And all the coasts of Palestine.
Palestine, which who? Who are they? The Arabs.
Right.
And guess what? They had part in it because we went into the sub-Saharan slave trade, which was dealing with the Arabs.
Right.
And guess who did mess with us then? The Africans. They still in the midst of this. And they did the same thing with us now. And all they wanted was spices and wine and whatever they wanted, wine,
tobacco,
and guns,
money,
and a little bit of money, not knowing that they were about to get they butts handed to them and strip they land from them too.
Right,
taking your gold from you. But keep going.
Will ye render me a recompense?
Uh-huh.
And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Right, and that happened. So guess what? He gonna return it up on their own head. Keep going.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
Right, so they stripped us, right? Come on.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
They what?
Sold unto the Grecians.
So they had part in selling us to the white man, the Grecians. We know the Greeks are the white people. Come on, don't be senile. Don't be crazy.
Right.
You know this. Come on.
That ye might remove them far from their border.
That we might remove them far from their border. This is what happened. We were sold to the Grecians with the hand of the African booty scratchers. Can I say that? You African booty scratchers.
I believe so.
Right? You Hamites, I should say. Right? And who else? The Arabs.
Right.
The ones that strap bombs on them and blow themselves up. So we was the Bible is real. And guess what we was shipped off to? the west, the what you call it, the islands. Some of the brothers were shipped to the islands. A lot of us were shipped everywhere. It's not just here. We was scattered everywhere. We was already up in Spain and everything. In Europe, we was all up in that area.
Right.
We was pulled to the Grecians, right? And this is what we see. This is the result of us being disobedient to God's laws, right? We had to go through these. So you got Tyre and Zidon, and you got the Palestinians, the Africans and the Arabs coming against us to sell us to the Grecians. This happened. This is real history, right? Read this. Man, I thought I had to. See, go ahead. Read that. Yeah.
This is Babylon to Timbuktu, page 123. Like the black Jews in America, some of the Jews of Guinea don't remember the original nationality. This deplorable ignorance is attributed to various causes. Number one, the fall of the Hebrew kingdoms. Number
Right.
two, the lack of communication with Jewish educational centers. Number three,
Stop. So that's why we posting hashtag make IUIC Arkansas University. Because we want to make sure we educating our people. We got to be educated. We got to learn this thing. Because that's one of the things that allowed us to be destroyed. Us not applying the laws of God. Us losing that heritage. Us being stripped. Watch this. Let's go to, give me that. In Hosea. That's what it's saying right there. Right? And we ain't talking about Jewish like the Jews over there now. Those Amalek, those fake, and those imposters. We talking about you blacks in America today. Watch this.
the book of Hosea, chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
For a lack of knowledge. What is that knowledge? The laws of God, right? Come on.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me.
And then we were no priest to him because he rejected us because we rejected him first. Come on.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
That it?
Yes, sir.
He said we forgot his laws, he was going to forget us. So what we reading in here, it says what? Those educational centers, we lacked those. We lacked that. We ran from God. We left God laws. Continue to read this book.
Number 3.
You already said the name of the book, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, come
From
on.
Babylon to Timbuktu. Number 3, intense persecution and the deliberate blotting out of the mind their true nationality.
Their what?
Their true nationality.
This is something, it says, start at the 3 again, it said what?
Intense persecution.
That's called slavery. Intense persecution. And what were they doing?
And the deliberate blotting out of the mind their true nationality.
So your name ain't Ezra no more, you Toby. They stripped you. They beat you to beat your name out of you, your nationality. They beat your language out of you. I was Kunta, I'm Toby now. Come on, read.
Thus, Nahum Slouch said this about the Islamized Jews he met. In most cases, these Hebrews by race and Muslims by faith seek to hide their origin, which has become a burden to them. And another example, the persecution of the black Jews in Portugal was so ruthless and frequent that Cecil Roth tells us the Jews did not divulge to their children the secret of their religion until they had attained the age of reason. The Hebrew religion is such that if you deny your religion, you will eventually deny your nationality.
You say what?
If you deny your religion, you will eventually deny your nationality.
So we curse so bad right now, we don't even say we God's chosen. We say we Gentiles. I'm a Look, I ain't no Jew.
As a nigga.
I'm black. I'm American. No, you a coon and you dumb. Because you what? You deny your own beliefs. You deny your own nationality. Finish that, please.
The sociologists and psychologists know, and history has proven that if you deny your culture and nationality over a long period of time, you will totally forget it through a process of assimilation.
If this ain't talking about the blacks today, come on, think about this. That we have went so far that we through assimilation we just declined, or what you call it, neglected
Right.
our history, our heritage. We just ran from it. And we played right into their hand because it says the who? Read this top part. It says who?
The sociologists and the psychologists
And
know.
the what?
The psychologists.
We talking about people that deal with your mind, that study people, that sit here and look at them. You see what they're doing? Let me call them. What's that? The Willie Lynch letter.
Right.
Things of that nature. It's many more things like that happen. We fall right into their trick. All right, is that it? That was all I wanted on that.
Got it.
So we see that. If that ain't us, who is it? These curses are still upon us, right? Curse then and curse now. Let's go to this book again. Let's read verse. This is we back in the same the Black Holocaust, page 72.
This is the Black Holocaust for Beginners, page 72. Start here.
Yes, sir.
By the time the people of Africa were herded into the slave castles, many were not only stripped of their clothes and jewelry, but also stripped of their minds.
They were what?
Their minds.
They were stripped of their minds, right? That's because what we went through. They had to beat it out of us. We went through all these curses, right? We know who we were when we were sitting over there. Some of the places still call the same names that we had before this over there. Like the Igbo tribe, right? We see these tribes, right? But guess what? We know these things, but it said it was what?
But also stripped of their minds.
And we were stripped of our minds.
Spirit.
Our what?
Spirit.
Our spirit.
Culture.
Our culture. Our minds, our spirit, our culture. We were stripped of these things. Right? Give me Sirach chapter 17, verse 11. Let's see what our culture was.
This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 17 and verse 11. Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for inheritance.
He said he gave them knowledge and a law of life for inheritance, or our culture was God laws. But we were stripped from that. Why? Because now we think that they are the Jews and we just some ordinary African or some black man in America. We just Negro. We just a boy. We just Toby. But no, you are God's chosen people. You are from the tribe of Judah, black man, in America. Right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy real quick.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
Right. So like we was just reading right here when it says we were stripped from read that part.
It says, but also stripped of their minds, spirit, culture.
Right. So our minds, right? How was it stripped? Because they put things in front of us. They plague us. They throw jugs. We don't think this real. They put chemical trails all in the sky today, and a lot of our people go mad, right? They give us crazy shots when we're little kids, and guess what? These things make our people mad, crazy. They throw drugs in our community, and guess what? These things make us crazy.
Right.
Then they say your kid need to be on Ritalin, or they got to have this and that medicine to make them right, but really they making us slow. These things that they doing to us. And that's where you see the result today. We see it today. Our people bugged out of their mind. These curses are upon us. Go to that book. Finish that out on that page, please.
It says, many felt humiliated, betrayed by their own countrymen, betrayed even by their gods. These captured Africans chained inside the slave castles.
Because they thought the Africans were their people.
Right.
No, they ain't us. They ham. Read.
Either submitted to enslavement and Christianity.
They were what?
Either submitted to enslavement and Christianity.
They submitted to slavery and Christianity, which is one and the same, because history is proving that the Romans were the first slave owners. They the one was a part of this thing. But keep going. So just to let you know, you Christians and Christianity out there, you failed because you are in slavery. And right now it's definitely mental slavery because you think Jesus is white.
It's crack.
You think it's crack, it's drug. It has destroyed your mind, your spirit, and your culture because you think that the white man is your God. And you are cursed. Read, please.
With the feeling that there was nothing they could do about it or looked for ways, either literally or spiritually, to commit suicide.
To commit suicide.
Wow.
This is the conditions we were in back then. This is what we're reading about. History.
Right.
History. You got something to say? You about to say?
No.
All right, finish that.
The vast majority of the enslaved, however, saw the need to fight for their freedom and were a part of the resistance movement, the African liberation struggle.
Right, so they tried to fight against it. This next page, please. I don't know if I want to read it all, but
I can get through it quick.
go ahead.
As is so often the case with human struggles for liberation, the first stages of the Baruch-based movements toward black freedom required internal action, exertions of the will. In many places, it was probably necessary to break through all the real and fancied barriers of each particular geographic, tribal, and national history represented in these first confused and unlikely Pan-African assemblies. For within the flexible matrix of our continental oneness over the long millennia of the ages, Africa has produced great diversity, even in the relatively limited setting of the western portions of the continent, which supplied most of the men, women, and children who filled these prison spaces. There was a fascinating, compelling variety of human experience as they identified themselves to one another and spoke their names in those dark prison places. The sounds of their tribes and nations.
They what?
And nations.
They of their tribes and their nations. Come on.
Must have tumbled like a waterfall out of the river of the past. Bambara, Malinkna, Fon, for struggle was inevitable. Reflection on the great and varied African past was not sufficient. Now all these histories were jammed into the one frightening present, and it was evident that they were being rushed forward into a new history, one which had no real precedent in the countless centuries of our past, except for the Muslims among us who told their stories of the captive people who followed a certain Moses.
All right, a certain Moses, right? So now they're showing about their history, right? Come on.
So by the time the ships arrived, there could no longer be any doubt that we had been captured in our homeland to prepare us for a greater, uncharted, wholly terrifying captivity across the endless waters.
Preparing us for a terrifying captivity. But I want to, this one part that said right here, read this.
Right here?
In many places.
In many places, it was probably necessary to break through all the real and fancied barriers of each particular geographic, tribal, and national history represented in these first confused and unlikely Pan-African assemblies.
You know what they were saying? Get those leaders.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying. Get those leaders in those communities and break them. Get them in and break them. Didn't that not happen in slavery? This is proving that we are Judah, I should say. You blacks in America. Next page, please. And then we gonna right here, the middle passage.
This is page 74. Slave ships and the Middle Passage. We stood in arms, firing on the revolted slaves, of whom we killed some and wounded many.
He said they killed some and wounded many.
And many
We
of the
can't
most
come up against them with firing on us with weapons. Come on.
And many of the most mutinous leapt overboard and drowned themselves in the ocean with much resolution.
Many of us drowned ourselves in the ocean. Many of yes, sir.
The actual transition of the captive African from dungeon to ship became more bureaucratic as the centuries of slavery rolled on. Initially, in the 1400s, the Europeans just forced the survivors of their raids onto their ships with minimal food for a month at sea. But when large corporate concerns
now it's getting political.
Wow.
And who are these corporate people?
The Catholic Church.
The what?
The Catholic Church.
So them Roman people, those same people, had something to do with slavery. He said, hold on, it's got to be a Christian way around this.
Right.
Surely we can bring something together. Surely we can make this. Let's let them come. Let's make it a little easier. Or whatever they thought was. The political side, though. Watch this.
And the state became involved. There were many hands to grease and a small avalanche of paperwork. Given that the basis of slavery was capitalism, and at capitalism's heart was good old-fashioned greed.
Good old-fashioned what?
Good old-fashioned greed.
And that's what you see today with the same Edomites coming up against the great USA. Because the greed of USA, the pride is so hard here. That's why you got the Russians getting ready to fight. You got the Ukraine people, the same people, and then all this is really building up to come against these people here in the great USA. Come on.
These partners in crime of slavery each had elaborate schemes to rip each other off.
They all had what?
Elaborate schemes to rip each other
They
off.
couldn't even handle. That's what we read about when they was fighting each other. They got into fights because it was something that wasn't working.
Yep.
But they all had a conduct. They all was about that corporate business. All right. I think I want to skip this. I think I need this, but
Which one?
I want to skip this. Page 75. Page 75. Is that it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
By the late
It's the last
1600s.
part in this book we're gonna read, and I'm gonna get a couple more scriptures, y'all, and we're gonna end it.
By the late 1600s, the European slave trade was no longer an easy run-in-the-raid operation for a swashbuckling few. It was capitalism's first big multinational business.
Multinational business. And guess who was ahead of it? The Catholic Church. Y'all, we got to see this, but you think you want to praise Mother Mary. Mary had a little lamb. That Edomite image or whatever, that ain't nothing. Come on.
With all of its varied political and economical policies that promote and protect the business, it had to pay off corrupt African rulers.
Who?
African rulers.
You talking about Tyre and Zidon? Come on.
And terrorize those who resisted the business.
And those who resisted us when we came up against them, terrorizing us, come on.
It had to justify the business with the Bible.
With the what?
With the Bible.
Slaves, obey your master. Come on.
And the need to civilize them.
And the need to civilize us.
Propaganda.
Whew. And this is all propaganda right here. They use our words. They tried to use our words against us. But remember, we read Judah. They was gonna choke. We was gonna have our hands on their neck, meaning choke these lies out. No, that don't mean what that mean. They are the devil the Bible speak of. All right. Continue, please.
It had to expand the business throughout Africa and in the process steal more and more land to help maximize the profits or die.
Or die. And guess what? Who land they was taking? Which we can probably gonna get my next class might be on Gad. Was Gad, the Native Americans. They had to steal more land. So what they do? They started beating them out. And guess what? They went to Texas. They said, remember the Alamo? That's the so-called, that's the statement of the whatever you want to say. Yeah, they stole Texas. They stole everything on this side of the earth, first of all, and to profit more. They had to spread it out. Because remember, originally it was just 13 colonies, wasn't it? And then it became Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, all of this started getting stripped on, and now they own the whole everything.
Right.
This is what we see. Yeah, finish that out.
Make no mistake. Capitalism cut its teeth on the blood of the people of Africa.
Israel, us, the Israelites, majority Judah, come on.
So there is no escaping the fact that every fabric of Western society is linked to that blood. Is linked to that blood.
That's why the scriptures say he gonna have recompense on their children, because it's linked to that blood. Come on.
To those atrocities, to the millions upon millions of African dead that the West is yet to acknowledge, no part of the West is left untouched. Science, technology, culture, religion, economics, politics. All were and are twisted to feed the insatiable greed of capitalism.
Woo! To feed the white man. That's what it's summing up to. And this is what we see today. Yes, curse then and curse now. But watch this. Baruch 2 and 30. Last few scriptures, y'all. We're going to end it. All praise to the Most High for y'all that endured through this. But that reading, that's some stuff that we got to see. That's old back then, but it's still relevant now. Because of what? Because we still going through the capitalism.
Right.
Right? That's why when we had the radio show, right? And we talk about the music industry. That's all capitalism for them to continue to advance and us to die off and us to give them more money. Us to go against each other. But watch this. Continue. Read that.
The book of Baruch, the book of Baruch, chapter 2 and verse 30.
Yes, sir.
For I knew that they would not hear me.
Uh-huh.
Because it is a stiff-necked people.
Right. So we wouldn't. He said, I knew that they wouldn't hear me because we are a stiff-necked people. This is what Baruch was writing down in dealing with Jeremiah, right?
Right.
This is what we're reading about. Just back, Jeremiah was saying it. He was like, hey, we are stiff-necked. Y'all ain't listening. We went over this history yesterday about him talking to Judah. Judah in the city said, hey, don't do that. Don't go up against them. That ain't the plan. You gonna be here 70. You got 70 years. Hey, don't do this. Don't do that. But guess what? We still were rebellious. But keep going.
But in the land of their captivity,
But in our captivity here, come on.
they shall remember themselves.
We was gonna remember ourselves. That's why Judah rose first. That Zephaniah 12 and 7 we read about. We were the ones giving the laws again. We was gonna be the ones out here teaching our people, the so-called West Indians who are Benjamin, the Levi who are the Haitians, and all the northern kingdom. We were ones going to lead the front of that. Come on.
And shall know that I am the Lord their God.
Uh-huh.
For I give them in heart and ears to hear.
Right. He's the Lord our God. He gave us a heart and ears to hear. Is that it?
32.
No, that's all I want. So we got to remember ourselves in this captivity. We have to remember ourselves, right? Let's go to Malachi chapter 4. Let me get there real quick. Malachi 4 and verse 5.
The book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 5.
Come on.
Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse.
Right. He was going to bring us back. He was going to bring us back to the Bible. It says, and he shall turn the heart of their children and their fathers. Right. I want to hit this first part. Read 5 again.
The book of Malachi, chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord.
So when you read about this, that Elijah the prophet is talking about he was going to sin again, right? I want to show you something. Let's go to John. It was going to be John, right? Watch this. John 14 and verse 26.
The book of John, chapter 14 and verse 26.
So this is Christ speaking, right? Come on.
Verse 26. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things, and bring all things to your remembrance whatsoever I have said unto you.
Right. So I forgot the other scripture I was looking for. I went blank on it. But basically, when you read about John, right, he knew that Christ was coming next, right? And he was the one to set up for Christ, right? He was.
The book of John, chapter 3 and verse 3. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus saith unto him.
No, that's not what I want. Drop that. But basically what I'm getting into is when you read John 14 and 16, right? So John was set up before Christ, right? So when you read that, Christ was that comforter. Christ was the one that's going to be coming. When you read Malachi, it's talk about in that before the coming of the great dreadful day of the Lord. That Lord is who? That's Christ. Go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews 7 and verse 14. Hebrews 7 and verse 14.
This is the book of Hebrews.
So it says Christ. This is the point I want to get in this, right? Judah. Read this.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 7 and verse 14.
Come on.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
He said what?
that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
So that comforter, right? That comforter, our Lord, he sprang out of who?
Judah.
Out of Judah. Out of Judah. So guess what? Black man, black woman in America today, the greatest man to ever walk the earth is from the same tribe you from.
Right.
Though we were cursed then and now, our Redeemer and Savior is Christ, a black man from the tribe of Judah.
That's right.
Last verse, 1:68. Luke 1:68.
Yes, sir.
Right? Luke 1 and verse 68.
The book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up an horn of salvation for us, in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies.
Right, Judah, just because we going through all these curses, listen, once you bethink yourselves, remember who you are, and repent and come back to the laws of God, you're going to be in this with us. Lord's will, we in it. You're going to be in it when Christ come to save us, you're going to be a part of that.
Right.
We're going to be a part of that when we continue in the faith. Keep going.
And from the hand of all that hate us.
He was going to save us from our enemies, the hand of all those that hate us. Come on.
To perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant.
Keep going.
The oath which he sware to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us, that we being delivered out of the hands of our enemies might serve him without fear.
Right. So that oath that he gave to us being delivered out of the hands of our enemies. Right. So guess what? Christ is from Judah.
Right.
Right. When you read the history, it was prophesied there was need that John came, right, to just open. He paid the way, so Christ came through and helped us. He saved us. When you read Matthew 1 and 20, read that 1 and 21. He was gonna save us. Christ was sent here from the tribe of Judah. Was sent here to save Israel. Right? Read this.
The book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse 21.
Come on.
And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus.
Call his name what?
Jesus.
Right? Who is from the tribe of Judah.
For he shall save his people from their sins.
He shall save his people from their sins. All right? So once we remember and keep the commandments, guess what? We're going to be saved. Hey, all praise to the Most High. There was cursed then and now, Judah. So y'all, hopefully that was edifying. Hopefully you got some understanding through the scripts and definitely the books that we read pertaining to our history then and how it applies to us now. All right, Israel, all praise to the Most High. That's what I got for you tonight. Y'all stay in the spirit, all right? Shalom, Most High Christ bless.
Shalom.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.